Doc. Ready for your annual physical?
Hello, welcome to PlayStation Access, where Ash and myself are fresh from our very first hands-on with Marvel Spider-Man 2.
It was good.
I can't believe we've actually played it.
Yeah, honestly, it was such a good day.
It was a very good day.
It was a very good day.
I mean, there was a big chunk of the game we got to play. If you've been following Marvel Spider-Man 2 and you saw what was showed at the most recent showcase, we got to play in and around that section of the game.
And slightly further as well.
And slightly further. We won't be spoiling any story stuff, but we're going to give you our fresh, excited impressions on the gameplay, on controlling Peter Parker with his new symbiote powers, on some of the traversal, and you finished the preview.
Yes,
I didn't because I was doing other things.
Yeah.
There's a really exciting event full of cool
Rob was
stuff.
just looking at things.
Also, you had the station and I got to jump on a little bit later.
Yeah, I was the spider player.
So you're like, you did the end bit, which we will talk about. But first, the first thing I want to talk about is the traversal, because I always forget just how amazing it feels. And I think in Marvel Spider-Man 2, it just feels even more amazing than it did before.
100%.
Like, it's just so cool swinging around the city.
There's nothing that quite beats swinging on a web in like Marvel Spider-Man games, and being able to just go back and do that again and it feel amazing. And you see these slight changes in the animation where you can see that Spider-Man have gotten a little bit more confident, a little bit more sure of themselves, like playing as Miles Morales and seeing the way
Especially
that
Miles,
handles a little bit differently as you're swinging and doing like your little flips and stuff. I was just like, oh my god, this is amazing. But they've also added in the web wings as well now, so you can switch between swinging around and gliding around too, which they are so fun to use.
Yeah.
Like they're another one of those things that feels super satisfying.
And it's just a little simple press of triangle and immediately the web wings come out. It's a real intuitive control system as well. It's just like, pitching up and down on the right stick, swinging around, the height you can get as well.
Yes.
If you deploy them right at the apex of a big swing, just like, and the speed. As I was swinging around with Miles, I swung through some trees, swinging low down through the park, swung up through the canopy, and like a bunch of leaves just like poofed out. It was just so satisfying, and the city just looks ridiculously good.
Being able to fly over the shorter areas is really satisfying, and they've got rings that you can fly through, which are like wind tunnels that like take you even further and faster. So again, with the chaining, with the swinging, and again at the end of the game where you've kind of mastered all of these moves and just when to let go or catch on or deploy your wings, and then combining them with those as well. Oh my god, I'm literally just so excited to be like 30 hours in and just going around New York. It's amazing.
I liked the air graphics.
Yeah.
Which sounds,
that's a new one for you.
I know, it sounds stupid, but there's like a real sort of hazy thickness to the air quality in between the buildings. And in one section, it was like the sun was setting. Yeah. And you get that amazing thing where all the buildings, the reflections off the buildings just look incredible. And you're like high up between the buildings and you can see the street below you. And there's just something about the quality of the air. It's really hard to articulate.
No, it's like city air, isn't it?
Yeah, it feels so alive. And I was just mesmerised by it. That's probably another reason why I didn't finish the preview, because I spent way too long just just swinging around, looking at all this stuff. Another thing I noticed, and I love how much attention they pay to these little details. I was swinging around as Miles. He was talking to Genki, I think, on his little device. And I was swinging under a bridge, and all of a sudden Miles's voice sort of like went all echoey. And I just love that. Like, it's such an amazing little immersive detail to add in. I've got to do this thing over here, but quickly I'll just save the day over there, and then I'm off again. Great. It's so exciting.
Yeah, I think they kind of dig into that with the quick switch between Miles Morales and Peter Parker as well, because you can just go into a menu, press a button, and then you fly across New York and like go into another Spider-Man basically. And they're always doing something funny is what I like. Like they're always like, you get a little insight into what it's like being a Spider-Man off duty. Because I went to Pete and he had like a little spider bot like crawling all over him because he was playing with it. Went over to Miles and he was just like crawling around on a building. One of them was doing sit-ups like on the side but like horizontally off a building and stuff. So it's
show-offs.
Yeah, there's just so much joy to it though. They didn't need to do that. They could just literally like, you could just open your eyes in another Spider-Man, but that they've added all these little moments that kind of solidify their characters even more is really, really sweet. And such a cornerstone of, you know, Marvel Spider-Man as well, like that these characters are the center of it.
It's so just charmingly written as well.
Yeah.
Like, again, I'd sort of like forgotten just how funny the first game was.
Yeah.
The section of the game we were like, Peter's got his symbiote suit on. So I'm like expecting, he's going to be angry, angsty Peter. There's a little bit of that, but he's still Peter Parker.
Yeah.
He's still like the wisecracking Peter Parker you know and love. And like one of Kraven the Hunter's big henchmen in like a bear suit was like with his big axe, and Peter's like, before we begin, and it's just like goes all quiet, I'm fresh out of honey. Yeah. And then he just it's great. He had to be there, but it
is good. It's a good moment.
Right before quite a
Yeah.
intense mini boss battle.
I was literally just saying to Dan before we started this that my favourite line from the whole thing is angsty Peter, but when he goes, how about I smash your face? And it's just the way it's delivered is so good, and I can't replicate it. You'll see it and you'll experience it, and it'll bring you joy. But it's so good.
We shouldn't try and do our Peter Parker impressions, but it is very good. Anyway, this leads on to what we should talk about next. The next big thing, the combat, which I think anyone who's played the first Marvel Spider-Man game and Marvel Spider-Man Miles Morales will immediately feel at home with the combat. But there's lots of additional stuff to enjoy.
Yeah, parries is the main
parries
one.
is the big thing. I was bad at the parries. We had Brian Intar, the creative director, before we played the game, was explaining the parry system to us. It's like, if you see an enemy attacking with this yellow ring around them, don't dodge that attack.
Yeah.
And then it turns red.
Yeah.
And I think when it turns red, that's the moment where you have to hit L1 to perform the parry. And I should have listened to Brian. Because in the heat of battle, I was like, oh my god, dodge. The dodge didn't work, and the big attack came down, and I got hit hard.
Yeah.
But there's, we fought a bunch of Kraven the Hunter's goons, and a lot of them, they're not to be trifled with.
No, they're quite tough.
You've got to be on your toes. I mean, like it's never been. The first game was never like, okay, I can just button mash my way through this. You've got to really be. You've got to know what move you're using. You've got to know what enemy you're fighting and what moves to deploy against those enemies to have the best chance of beating them. And it felt a lot like that. It felt like, okay, but when you do nail it and you absolutely work your way through a group of henchmen, sliding under, the slidey under the legs move is still in, which I love. So the punch, slide underneath them, punch them into the air, swinging around. It's so satisfying chaining a bunch of moves together.
Yeah, for sure. I think kind of the way that you fight is you've got square as your battering, triangle to throw a little web and pull them over or pull yourself over to them, circle to dodge, and then you can hold L1 or R1 to do different things. So R1 is all of your gadgets. We were using the web grabber, which pulls everyone in and kind of knocks them out, and also another one which spins loads of webs out. The gadgets are great as ever. And then the other side is basically the new abilities. So the symbiote powers for Peter Parker, which are so good. It's literally
incredibly satisfying to
it's
use.
just tentacle attack. It's tendril moments, baby. So you can pick up about 4 enemies, throw them in the air and slap them on the ground again. It's quite brutal, which I quite like, because it's a bit like, whoa, Pete, are you all right? Every time he does one. And it's so fluid, he'll turn into a little ball of goo and then throw out loads of tentacles to smack everyone away from him. And how that kind of reflects in Miles Morales' gameplay is he has evolved Venom now, which is his bioelectric abilities kind of taken up to a new level. So you'll hold your L1, press a face button, and unleash one of his abilities, which is just electrocuting people, doing massive area damage attacks. There's all sorts in there. It's really, really fun. And I was looking through the menus at kind of what other abilities you can get and how the skill tree system works. And there's just loads to play with. And that also brings up that I just want to mention the suits, chef's kiss, because you can unlock so many different suits from doing different side missions and different like main story bits, and just basically you can earn so many suits, but you can also spend your points and coins and all sorts of bits to unlock suit variants within that as well now.
Right.
So you can dress up Miles Morales in like pink and black instead of his like classic red and black, or use like different colors on all of them, and it's so good. Like the customization that was in Marvel Spider-Man has been just again dialed up to 11, where you can play around with so many different things and have your hero look exactly how you want them to, with loads of references to other media as well.
I like those sort of like breaking up the pacing, adding a little bit of gameplay variety in between all the swinging around and the punching and stuff. Little stealth moments as well, where you got to get this little robot guy past a couple of guards and shoot webs at musical instruments to provide a distraction.
Yeah.
So you've got, I did not expect to be controlling a robot spider and shooting web at some cellos to distract a guard. But that is a thing I did.
You have to be careful as well, because the first thing I did was shoot a man in the face, obviously, because I was like, let's see what this web does. And they see you, and then they shoot your little spider.
And you get a sad little animation of the spider just like...
So good. Like, it's proper like a dead spider with all the legs tucked in. I was like, this was worth it. But yeah, it's really good. There's so many little mini games in there as well, like you breaking up different parts of a molecular structure to...
I loved that bit.
Yeah.
It's like, again, an evolution of the cool little science sequence mini games you could do in the first game. Just that variety in it. It's just and another thing I thought was really cool. One of the early bits has you controlling Peter, almost like a tutorial really, but it's like you have to put out a bunch of fires with your webbing. Yeah. And just it's basically like, here's how you traverse around a building with multiple floors inside. But it's just like a cool way of presenting that, I thought. Just quickly flinging around these different levels, using your web to pull open like sprinklers and like using your webs to just patch up things that are on fire. I really enjoyed all that stuff. Also flushing a toilet to distract a guard.
Yes, I liked that.
I really liked that a lot. But we should move on to the big exciting set piece, the battle against the lizard, which we saw a little bit of in the showcase footage, but you've now played that bit, Ash.
Yes.
What was it like?
It was good.
Good.
Yeah, it does more than that, obviously. It was really, really good. So I'm not going to take you to Spoiler Town too much, but if you don't want to know anything about the boss fight or about kind of the story, then don't listen. But yeah, you go to fight the lizard, who is in a big sewer system that you've then got an arena in, and it's basically using all of the skills that you've learned so far, but then also learning some new stuff as you go as well, because this introduces the blue ring, which is unparryable and you have to dodge it. So you have even more things that you kind of got to pay attention to, use your spidey senses for, and figure out. And the lizard fight, obviously Spider-Man and Marvel Spider-Man is just all about these massive boss battles that are super satisfying, super cinematic. It's not just, just in one room. He busts out and you're going across New York, and there's Kraven the Hunter coming in, and you've got to like fight all these different things, dodge them. You basically get to do the sort of cool, badass, fun stuff that you see in the Hudson River sequence, but through a city, it's just so mind-blowingly fun to play and to see. It's really, really good. But yeah, this battle I was just gawking at the lizard the whole time, because he's put together so well. He has like his mouth open, his little tongue is wiggling the whole time, which I know isn't the point of the boss battle, but it was so cute. And yeah, you've got to figure out kind of how to stun him to get him on the floor so you can beat him up, and you can use environmental stuff. You can pull open grates and kind of flash him with steam so you get a little steam cooked lizard, and then you can beat him up with your spider fists. It's just like so really well thought out. And the preview ended, so I'd chased down Connors, got the lizard. I'm trying to give him the antidote, which is what we've been doing the molecular structure stuff for. I've chased him down, fought him in the sewer. He's gone out the city. Kraven the Hunter's trying to grab him, and I'm trying to give him this antidote to figure it out. And Kraven the Hunter shoots him off the edge of a building, and Peter Parker is on the lizard, and then that's the preview ended. So I don't know what happened.
Cliffhanger.
Yeah, I was like, I need to know. It's just Peter Parker on top of this lizard, and then this black screen with Marvel Spider-Man 2, and I was like, oh god, I know how to Do a preview.
You have to wait. You're gonna have to wait until October the 20th,
Yeah.
which isn't that long.
No.
It's really close.
It's just, honestly, that boss battle, like that's the main thing that I took away from it. It kind of wiped all my memories of the week and just put in lizard mode because it was so good.
My main takeaway was like the amount of variety, like, you know, visually, and when you're just, you know, the L1 and R1 thing where you can pick up a thing on the street and like twirl it around and throw it at enemies, just the increased variety of the things that you can do that with.
Yeah.
So you're fighting like, there's like little robot dogs as well.
Yes,
that you fight, and
they're
like
tough.
and they are quite tough, but you can, if you get them stunned, web them and swing them around and throw them as well. And it's just, I was fighting them with Miles, and just the little lines that he was, sit, stay. I was just, those little disarming moments of dialogue where you just start laughing in the middle of a fight. It's so perfectly Spider-Man. It's great.
Yeah. And the takedowns as well with the symbiote suit. Just a little shout out to those, because again, they're quite brutal. Like, not that they're bloody or violent, but they're just quite, you just know it would sting to get hit by it. Like there's one where it's just the knee to the face.
You definitely feel the power of the symbiote in those moves.
Yeah.
And that sort of edge to Peter Parker now.
100%.
It's really good. I was so impressed with it and cannot wait to play the full game. Please let us know in the comments if you're looking forward to the full game. Marvel Spider-Man 2 coming to PS5 on October the 20th. If you're not looking forward to it, what's wrong with you? It's going to be amazing.
You should be now.
You should be. Please give this video a like if you've enjoyed it, and subscribe, and click the notification bell if you haven't already done so, to make sure you don't miss anything from the world of PlayStation. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again soon.
PlayStation